Welcome to Mantorp Park Raceway in Sweden and to the third round of the FIA European Drag Racing Championship. The weather is perfect here for a great day's racing. Now, as I said, this is the third round of the championship, and first we're going to start with the second round of the championship that took place in Alastaro in Finland.
Thanks a lot, Russ. This is how it looked after we finished round one at Mantorp for the main event. Rico Antes was leading, Tommy Habberman second. It's interesting to note that Barry Sheevels picked up no points at all, well, none to speak of, at Mantorp. He just didn't put in a racing appearance. So here we are then at Alastaro, the drivers getting ready for this first round of competition. And let's go to Steve for a reminder of what these amazing machines are all about.
Now this is a Top Fuel dragster. It's the Formula 1 of drag racing. The engine runs on nitromethanol, or nitro for short, and produces a whopping 5,000 brake horsepower. That's almost 10 times more powerful than a Formula 1. Now this year, this car could break the 5-second barrier for the quarter mile. And that means that in this hot seat, the driver should be doing 300 miles an hour. Do you fancy that?
Secretly, you know, I think Steve Malkin fancies that. Let's see what's going to happen in the first round. Well, it's Tommy Habberman, the man from Finland. He's on his home track here at Alastaro. Alastaro is the only purpose-built drag strip in Europe. And he meets in the first round the man who got no points from Mantorp at all, Great Britain's Barry Sheevels. Now, Tommy Habberman is a young man. He's been around the sport 3 or 4 years now, and he's gradually getting quicker and quicker. He's always been a man who has been consistent in his low 5-second runs. Barry, although we've seen Barry racing so well in top alcohol, has got to be classed as a new boy in this form of sport. But Barry gets away first. Absolutely storming run from Barry Sheevels. In fact, spinning the tyres at the top end, and he takes out local boy Tommy Habberman with a .49 to a .56 reaction time, and then a storming 5.23 to a 5.49. Great race, great race. Barry Sheevels is in the final. And he's going to meet one of these two, the quickest lady in Europe, that's Vivica Avested, or this man, Germany's Rico Antes, currently leading the championship and the quickest dragster driver in Europe. This is going to be close. Let's have a look at the start line, and it's a red light. Rico red lights away. The nerves must have got to him. He reacted with a .39. That is too quick. Let's watch this again. And Rico goes so far out of shape, that 300-inch long dragster pointing across the track. Vivica, she runs through. A reaction time of .64, a 5.31. That's a good run for her. Sets up our final. Vivica against Barry Sheevels. Barry Sheevels will have lane choice. Can you imagine the nerves that the drivers and the crews are feeling at this point in time, just before the final? Let's have a word with the two finalists.
Obviously, Vivica's been in Top Fuel for a good number of years now, and I think she's going to maybe play a few games with me because I'm the new boy. But you know, I've been driving top alcohol cars for 8 years, and although the staging procedure is very much different, I'm just in there for a ride, and hopefully I'm going to win.
It's going to be a tough final because both cars have run pretty good, so we will see. Let's see what happens.
Well, on paper, the experience says that Vivica Avested should take this race. She's a seasoned campaigner in Top Fuel. But you've got to remember that Barry's come along here with absolutely no points whatsoever. He's making a mark for himself in the ranks of Top Fuel, must already be feeling confident because, of course, in his first major outing, he's actually made the final. So here we are. Remember, these cars can accelerate up to 100 miles an hour in under 60 feet. And is Sheevels away first? He reacts with a 48 to a 57 for Vivica. Great run for Barry Sheevels. That engine powering away beautifully. And if we watch it again, you can see the exhaust fumes on Vivica's car shutting down. She's out of the race. Barry is through, takes the win, 5.25. Wow. Yes, indeed. Big congratulations from Vivica. So this is how it looks at the end of Finland. Rico is still top. Vivica moves up into second spot. Tommy Habberman in third. But Barry Sheevels from Great Britain is now in fourth spot.
So Britain's Barry Sheevels won in Finland, and another win here today in Sweden would put him in contention for the championship. But all is not well in the Barry Sheevels camp.
That's right, Russ. Barry was on a great qualifying run when his engine just let go, punched this hole through the block.
Barry. Driver error or mechanical fault?
At this stage, it's very difficult to say, but obviously I am new at this game, and the whole point is that everything happens so quickly. The car launched really hard, very good 60-foot time. Heading for the 1/8 of a mile, the car was pulling really strong. My instructions were just to shut off by the 1/8 of a mile, so we could come back and get computer readings to see how we were doing. And just before the 1/8 of a mile, its tyres lit up, basically doing a burnout at half track, and I wasn't quick enough off the throttle, and it damaged the engine really bad.
Expensive?
Very.
Well, as Barry's crew work hard to prepare the car for tomorrow, let's catch up with championship leader, Germany's Rico Antes.
During qualifying, you're leading at the moment, so you're confident tomorrow that the car's going to run good?
Yeah, well, definitely it's going to run the same numbers that we're running yesterday and today, and we'll just try and improve the combination a little bit to make it more consistent, and that's what we need to do tomorrow. I guess the 520 will be capable of winning the event.
Well, here at Mantorp Park, there is a huge partisan crowd ready for these races. And why? Well, there are 3 Swedish Top Fuel drivers in the quarterfinals. Mantorp Park is a little bit of a strange track. It has a slight upward incline. When they've completed the quarter-mile run, they know they've only got a short runoff area before there is a tight right hairpin. So not only do they have to pay full attention during the race, they know that the runoff area can grab their attention severely as well. Well, here's our first racer. It's Kent Pearson. He's sitting in the hot seat of Peter Lance's dragster. Now, normally, Kent Pearson would be on the outside acting as a mechanic, but he's a very, very experienced drag racer. Well, not a very quick reaction time, a 0.72. Now, the reaction times here are on a 0 rated, but you can see Peter Lance jumping up and down. Let me tell you why. Kent Pearson just runs a 5.20. That's a cracking run for this man. He's jumped in the hot seat of someone else's dragster and clicks off a marvellous time. Now you know why the team was so happy. Great Britain's Barry Sheevels. Who is he racing in this first quarter-final? Do you want to guess? Yep, you got it. It's almost a rerun of Finland. Here she is, the fastest lady in Europe, Sweden's Vivica Averstedt. Now you have to remember that Barry Sheevels has had major problems during qualifying. They destroyed their all newly imported American engine. He's out there with an engine that the team have busily put together overnight. So they are running at a slight disadvantage. Vivica, however, must be feeling quietly confident. She's sitting in 2nd spot in the championship. Barry right down there in 4th spot. It would do Barry a heap of good if he could dispose of Vivica on this run. Here they come up into stage. This is the nail-biting moment. They're moving into pre-stage. And they're away. And it's Barry. Barry gets away first. A 0.11 reaction time to a 0.30. Don't forget they're working on a 0 rated. And look at that time for Barry. 5.39. You can see how clearly he got away in front of Vivica. At the top end, it was a 5.39 takes the win to a lose-out 5.40. Just 1/100th of a second. It was won by Barry Sheevels on the start line. Well, in our second pair, there's also a Swedish driver. It's this lady from Pitya in Sweden, Monica Oberg. A lady, unfortunately, we don't see enough of on the tracks of Europe anymore. But she is up against this man. What a hill she has to climb here. The confidence in this man now must be really acute. He's in the lead in the championship. He knows he's the quickest man in Europe. He's got the European record now. And Monica Oberg must be feeling like a boxer who's been out of the ring for some time. Could ring rust affect her here? The car has always been very, very competitive. But is it competitive enough to stave off the unwanted attentions of Germany's Rico Antes? Here we go then, up to the start line. This is all important, this is all critical start line. The nerves tend to tell, or is that the nitro getting into the eyes there? That makes you cry. Indeed it would do, because it comes out of the exhaust headers as tear gas. Anyway, up to the start line with these two. They're into full stage, the green is on, and it's almost a perfect start line reaction for Rico Antes, a 0.08, but even he has problems. That looks like the blower belt laying there in the middle of the track, so if Monica had managed to put in a full pass. Let's just watch it from the start line. You can see Rico gets away so clearly out in front, watching him all the way through, and then bang goes the engine. That's the blower belt flying through the air with the greatest of ease. And it's Monica struggling there at half track. Rico creeps through at the top end, a 6.73 win for him. Not the sort of time we would expect. Again, it's Sweden, the red and white car of Pelle Lindelöf, a previous Top Fuel champion. He faces off to Tommy Habberman. Now, Habberman at the moment is sitting in 3rd spot in the championship. Always a very consistent runner, always looking for the low end of the 5-second bracket. Again, Pelle Lindelöf here, who's been around drag racing since the early 70s, he is suffering from not having enough track time. And he's up against a man who is out on the racetrack nearly every weekend, Tommy Habberman. So two drivers move up to those staging beams once more. Pelle Lindelöf from Sweden knows he's got to cut a good start line reaction, and he does. A 0.08 now. Can he stay front? But at the top end, Tommy Habberman comes flying by. Wow, that was close. So let's go back to the start line again. Clearly, Pelle Lindelöf gets away first, a 0.08 to a 0.15. But then the power of the Finnish dragster comes flying by at the top end. Hey, that was real close. So Tommy Habberman takes the win. 5.34 to a 5.45. So this sets up our semi-finals. Rico Antes meets Barry Sheevels. Kent Pearson meets Tommy Habberman.
So some fantastic racing there. Make sure you join us after the break. Now I'm standing next to our regular guest, drag racing promoter Keith Bartlett. Keith, tell us something about drag racing in Europe.
Well, in 1997 things have really taken off. The FIA Professional European Drag Racing Championship has really come of age. We've now developed it with a lot more media coverage. It's getting a lot of interest from corporate sponsors that have looked at the sport but now taken it seriously, and probably most importantly the spectators are seeing real hard competitive racing in all the 3 professional classes. So it's taken that next step forward to join perhaps 4 or 5 other major FIA disciplines that run championships throughout Europe.
Why is drag racing so popular in Scandinavia?
It's the culture of the American car. When cars really started to take off in mass manufacture in the 60s in Sweden, they were obviously Swedish manufacturers, Saab or Volvo, and the only foreign cars that came to these shores were American. So an American culture developed, and along with that became American culture sports, i.e. drag racing. So by the mid-70s, it was very established, and then it's grown and grown, and therefore now it's in its 4th or 5th generation of racers, and it's a very large sport here.
Well, there you go, words of wisdom from the man in charge of racing in the UK as we look at our first semi-finals with the burnout. That's Finland's Tommy Habberman, and coming out in the opposing lane in the yellow dragster, that's Kent Pearson from Sweden. Everyone here is up on their feet watching this one. Well, they know that Kent Pearson, first time in a dragster in 1997. He's had occasional rides over the past few years, and once again he's up against this young man who is in the hot seat so very, very often. So can he do it? Can he pull one off for Sweden? It will be something to do it in front of your home crowd. He knows he's got to get a good start line reaction away from those staging beams, and he's up against a man who can pull a good start line reaction himself as they come into pre-stage. Roll forward another 7 inches, they're fully into stage. The lights burn down, they're away, and it's a better start line reaction for Kent Pearson, but then a huge engine explosion for Tommy Habberman.
What do you think?
I'm pleased. We made a good run there. We hope to run a little bit better number, but staying consistency is going to make us hot in the finals. I'm very happy. Kent did a great job.
Peter Lantz also builds the cars used to drive, and that's his car that Kent Pearson is sitting in now. Just watch this. He got away first from the start line, but then that big explosion for Tommy Habberman, and that's going to play havoc with the rest of the racing here today. That's the result of a nitromethane explosion. It's taken the whole side of the engine out. Now, while Rico is sitting here pensively waiting, let me just tell you that besides taking the side of the engine out, that engine has oiled the whole lane down. And that's the lane that Barry Sheevels is due to run in. Now, Barry has got lane choice, and it's quite possible that he's doing exactly what I thought. He's putting Rico Antes into the lane where the oil has been.
Barry, Tommy's laid some oil down. You were supposed to run in that lane. You just moved to the right. Why?
Well, we had lane choice, and obviously you never know with an oil down whether the track's going to be in as good condition as it was before, so we took the decision to swap lanes.
Any psychology involved here?
Yes.
You left it a bit late?
Yes. I've had this happen to me in a European Championship round in top alcohol, and it definitely uneased me when it happened to me, so I'm hoping it's going to be a bit psychology, yes.
Well, this is a crucial race for Barry Sheevels. It would really put him in contention if he could take the win here. But he has been getting really, really close to the point of no return when it comes to start line reactions. And he's got a master of start line reactions in the opposing lane. I think that this is the first time Barry Sheevels from Great Britain has ever raced against Rico Antes from Germany. So there's a certain amount of unknown about each driver. Now, while that oil down was going on, we watched Rico sitting there very, very quietly in his car. Barry was out of the car, was relaxing, and I've seen this happen to Rico before. He was very, very nervous indeed, and when the race happened, Rico was all nerves and lost. Runefield just moves away from Rico Antes. This is the point. They're coming up to that start line once again. The crowd get up on their feet. This is the big one to watch. Great Britain against Germany as the cars move into stage. All important start line reactions here. And Barry pulls a red light. He left well before the green came on. A -.378. Rico automatically gets the win. The crew look dejected. Let's watch this again. Barry gets away. You can see the red light on the Christmas tree so very, very clearly. And it was a good run for Barry. 5.36 to a 5.53. But the win goes to Rico Antes. Let's hear from his crew chief, Runefield.
Looking good for Rico in the final?
It doesn't look like it. Let's see, we can make it run quicker than that.
So you've got some work to do?
Yeah, we have some work to do. Lots of work.
What about Barry red lighting?
Oh, he's quick on the lights.
Is there some hope for Barry in the European finals?
Yeah, oh yes, he's going to run quicker and quicker.
Runa, always a man of few words. This is how the final looks. Germany's Rico Antes against Sweden's Kent Pearson, and it's a tough one for both of them.
So a fantastic final in the offing. Let's meet the drivers. Rico, you're in the finals, but talk us through the run in the semis.
Well, there's not much to talk about. Actually, we had a long time waiting on the cleanup that Tommy had given us, and I don't know what happened to Barry. He kind of got a little bit overexcited and he left real early, and well, that's all he did so far. And he helped me winning this one, because otherwise the car was kind of lazy again, and we don't know if it's the clutch or it's the blower, so we need to check that out.
What about Barry changing lanes halfway through while you were waiting? Did that affect you?
Well, it didn't affect me, because I was wondering why he did it, because usually the lane that's cleaned up is a little bit better than the one that's not clean, so it was his decision, and he was the faster runner in the round before, so I said, okay, Barry, if you want it that way, we'll run it that way.
Have you been watching Rico?
Yeah, I didn't see him last time, you know.
He's not running quite so quick today, is he?
No, he don't. But we're still on the right time with it.
And is it good working with Peter Lance?
Oh, it's the best car and the best team in Europe right now. That's my opinion on it.
So you're going to
I'm very proud to be in it.
And what do you think about the final?
Oh, of course we're going to win it.
Good.
That's why we're here.
Well, here it is, it's the big one, it's the final here at Mantorp Park, and both of the drivers to me seem very, very confident. Here they go through their burnout procedure, of course, to warm up those huge rear slicks, which change from being stubby little rear tyres to very tall, thin tyres to give them their terminal speeds. Don't forget, these cars are quite capable of running close to 300 miles per hour at the end of the quarter mile. Rico Antes from Germany, leading the championship at the moment. He knows if he wins here, he's got a good chance of taking the FIA championship in 1997. But he's up against Kent Pearson. Pearson has got the support of the whole crowd here at Mantorp Park. They want to see the Swedish driver win, and no wonder those eyes of Rico Antes are darting around absolutely everywhere. The excitement, the adrenaline is pumping as they come up to the start line. This is the big moment. They're looking for a 0 reaction time, and Rico almost gets it. A 0.05 reaction time. He's out in front, but only just. And then the big engine explosion for Ken Pearson. You can see his blower belt flying through the air. It's all over.
Una, how do you feel now?
Not very good still. Didn't run very good.
No?
No.
But a win's a win.
The win's a win, that's right.
So now you're looking forward to Santa Pod?
Yeah, I really look forward to Santa Pod.
So the championship is yours?
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, Runa, not particularly happy with the performance of the car. Took the win, Rico Antes, with a 5.50. Not the sort of numbers we expect him to run. A 5.62 was the lose-out following that explosion. And this is how the leaderboard looks. The third round of the FIA 1997 Championship. Rico Antes is still there at the top. It will all be decided in mid-September at Santa Pod Raceway in England.
Rico, great win, but did Kent have it until his blow belt went?
Actually, yeah, but he lost it on the start line, basically, and that's what's all about at this run. Before he blew the motor, he had me covered, but then again, I was so quick on the start line that I could make up all that time that I have lost up during the run.
So you were catching him up as you went up the strip?
Well, actually, I was not catching him up, but I was making the time. He lost all that time on the start line. That's why I could catch him at the end when he blew the motor.
So a good weekend for you?
Well, actually, it wasn't such a good weekend. I mean, the time wasn't running as fast as usually. And I have to say, even though the crew worked the whole weekend hardly, we couldn't figure out what was the problem here. But I think this time you can definitely say it doesn't only take a car and a big motor to win these races. This time, I think the driver won the race.
So as the dust, rubber and nitro settles after a stunning day's drag racing, we look forward to seeing you at the next show. So make sure you stay with the action for more European drag racing.